If you don't look far enough ahead, podcaster, you may miss big trends, big changes coming to the industry. Of course, if you look too far ahead, you might miss obstacles directly in front of you and stumble. The trick? Striking a balance. Hello and welcome to another podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. This week we're going to talk about time. Not the entire duration that humanity has been around or the universe, but different aspects of time as they affect you, the working podcaster. Because if you have a better grasp of time in all of its aspects, it will get you to the ultimate goal that I have of season 2 of this show, making podcasting better. That's the idea, not just easier, making it better. And a lot of what we're going to talk about this week is not easy, but it will make you better, your podcast better. I want to start by talking about time horizon. Now, a time horizon, depending on how long you've been doing this, how long you've been in business, how far you've gone up the corporate ladder, whatever you want to call it. Time horizons shift naturally. And time horizon is something that I stumbled on, I don't know, probably a couple of 15, 20 years ago. It really kind of makes the big difference in how you see yourself and where you sit in the process that you're doing. But I want to make this specific to podcasting, not a general overall thing. But I can tell you that in general, overall, the younger you are, and that means experience-wise, as your experience is low, your time horizon is short. How far ahead of you think and plan for the future. And as your experience grows, your timeline typically, although not always, typically increases. That's typically what's happening, but not always. It's something that you can learn. It's something you can focus on. It's something you can do. And for podcasters, I think you need to. Because when you're just starting out with podcasting, if you're brand new to podcasting, your time horizon is right now. What do I need to do right now? Because I got this idea in my head and I want it out. So your time horizon is definition of short because you don't have a long-term plan for it. You've just got it is what's happening right now. And after year 1, year 2, year 3, that expansion of time horizon normally happens. Here's the trick with time horizon. The time horizon. The horizon is a fixed point. As far as you can see right now, if you get a big old telescope and you set it up outside your window looking off at the horizon, you will not see any further with that telescope. At least you will not find a horizon expanded out. You can't see around the world. There's a natural curvature to the earth that you can't get past. Okay, that telescope might help you see things make things in the distance that are more clear, but still, what's beyond the horizon, you can't see beyond. So we're not talking about being omniscient. I'm not talking about having extreme sight and foresight and magical ability to see over the curve. You can't. It's where you choose to focus. That's the time horizon I speak of, your own personal time horizon. How far out do you look? Now that was distance. We can put it back to time. Are you thinking about the show you're going to do today? Are you thinking about the show you're doing this week? Normally, well, I shouldn't say normally, but the vast majority of podcasters out there are only thinking about their very next show that's coming out today, that's coming out sometime this week. Some horizons are much shorter than that. Sometimes it's like, oh, I sit down and turn the microphone on, and what am I going to talk about? I mean, I'll be really honest with you. In season 1 of this show, there was quite a few times where I sat down behind the microphone and had no plan. That's a very short time horizon, which is okay as long as you can talk extemporaneously and you have random thoughts inside of your head. That makes sense. You can do that. But this time in season 2, I'm planning these things out more. I'm not planning, my time horizon is not what I'm talking about today. My time horizon is what's on dock for the entire week, all 4 shows. Doing it that way allows me to plan better, allows me to have an idea of where things are going. You might find that works for you. You might find that's terrible for you. It doesn't really matter. That's thinking about your own show and your own production values. But the other part about time horizon is what you want. What are you looking towards? What are your goals? How far out are those? And it's about the steps that you're going to take to follow them. If you're only thinking about, take me again, if I stay focused on this week, if I'm not thinking about next week, what happens? I mean, once the week is over, I gotta think about the next week. That's a problem. So how far out do you think about that? But that's content planning, one aspect of time horizon. You also need to think about the future, whatever you think of the future is, and how that might actually change and impact you. If you look very far ahead, as I tend to look really far ahead when I think about podcasting overall, I tend to think what's happening. It's been 15 years. What's the next 15 years look like? That's tough to do. I'll be really honest with you, and it's tough to predict with any level of accuracy. So you don't want to make the mistake of going too far. But just like anything, when you're being strategic and thinking about your podcast, if you don't know your next steps after the thing you're doing right now, you're kind of limiting yourself. We're playing this game with some friends of mine. It's called Gloom Haven. You might have heard of this game. And I have become better at the game over the last 2 or 3 sessions because I'm no longer thinking about what my immediate next move is. I'm thinking about now, well, what happens after that? And it's not a matter of, okay, I got to clear this level out and go over there. It's literally a matter of, if I do this, it should have this implication, and so I'm preparing for that next step. Which is the easiest way to expand your time horizon. Just think about what's going to happen. Can't think about all the possibilities, but if you're successful with the thing you're thinking about on your very short time horizon, what will that next step look like? And if it's not successful, well, what's that next step look like? Just a simple binary choice. Worked or didn't work. What are you going to do and go back into it? That'll help expand your time horizon. As you get better at this, I shouldn't say that, as you keep doing this more and more, your time horizon typically expands, but honestly, you have to work at it. It's very easy to fall into the trap, the rut, if you will. You can call it a groove, I might call it a rut, to where you just do the same thing day after day after day, or week after week, and nothing ever changes. If you do that, your time horizon is very short. Even if you might think about the long thing in the future, if you continue to repeat the same thing over and over again, it means your time horizon is short. Expanding your time horizon gives you more time to think about you and your show, and where you fit and where your show fits in the overall podcasting landscape, as well as what's going to happen with the overall podcasting landscape. Short versus long. Somewhere in the middle is that happy balance you want to strike. No easy answer. I don't have a way to magically bless you and say now you have the gift of seeing all the way to the horizon. Can't do that. It's all about where you choose to focus your eyes and your attention. Now, I've got more episodes coming up this week. This was Time Horizon. We're going to talk actually about the amount of time it takes to put into a program and lots of other aspects about time. Your career will be a part of our time discussion as well. As many of you know, and for the brand new people out there, hey, if you need some help with somebody thinking about this idea of time horizon, what's it mean for you, your show, your business, need some help, get in touch with me, because this is what I do. I help people launch their podcasts and make great success going forward and thinking about what the future is going to look like. Get in touch with me, evo@podcastlaunch.pro. You can go to podcastlaunch.pro to see a list of all the services I offer for my clients, and I shall be back tomorrow with yet another podcast Pontifications. Cheers!